Good morning, welcome to our newscast. I'm Daniel Che here to bring you the latest. The year's 18th typhoon is fast-moving and powerful. Mitag swept across the southern part of Korea yesterday and is now moving out towards the East Sea, forecast to leave the country by the afternoon. We start things off with updates and everything that's been reported overnight. Our Lee Kyung-eun is standing by in Pohang. Kyung-eun, could you fill us in on the latest?
Hi Daniel, I'm standing at a port in the city of Pohang, and as you can see, it is relatively calm here because it was only indirectly affected by the storm. But other cities under direct impact were drenched with heavy downpours at a rate up to 40 millimeters per hour. The eastern coastal areas were the hardest hit, with cities like Uljin getting more than 500 millimeters of precipitation. Up to 200 millimeters of more rain is expected throughout the day. Meanwhile, regions in Gangwon-do province received as much as 150 millimeters, with the rest of the country seeing between 5 to 30 millimeters of rain.
Kyung-eun, torrential rain and strong winds are causing serious problems in the affected areas. Could you give us an update on the damage?
So far, the typhoon has left 4 people dead and 2 missing, while injuring 4 others. Serious floodings have affected houses, roads, and waterways and caused landslides as well as a power outage. To prevent any further damages, the government has closed down 21 national parks and governments and hiking trails. Also, it suspended more than 100 maritime routes in Busan and Jeju-do Island. In the meantime, local governments are providing shelters for thousands of citizens. But all flights have been resumed as of 6 a.m. today. The typhoon is currently weakening, but the Central Disaster and Safety Countermeasures Headquarters has maintained its disaster alert status at its second highest level and is inviting people to stay safe throughout the day. That's all I have for you. Back to you, Daniel.
All right, Kyung-eun, thank you for being out there for us. We appreciate it. We now go over to our Lee Ji-hyun at the Weather Center for more updates on Typhoon Mitag. Ji-hyun, give us the details.
Sure. Good morning. Typhoon Mitag, which brought violent weather conditions to Jeju and Jeollanam-do and Gyeongsang-do provinces, headed out to waters off Uljin around 6 a.m. this morning. The typhoon is forecast to lose steam and weaken to a tropical depression by 9 p.m. this evening in the East Sea. Rain has tapered off in most regions, while the eastern parts of the country, including Gangneung in Gangwon-do province and the easternmost islands of Dokdo and Ulleung-do, are seeing heavy rain of 20 millimeters per hour. And expect to see more heavy showers into midnight, possibly up to 150 millimeters. Typhoon warnings have been lifted in the southern parts of the country, while warnings still remain in place for the eastern parts of Gangwon-do province and the East Sea. A high seas advisory remains in place for parts of the south, west, and east seas. Daily highs today will be a couple of notches higher in most parts on this National Foundation Day, with a slim chance of sunshine.
Let's move on to a different story now. North Korean and American officials are set to restart working-level discussions on denuclearization over the weekend. Now, many are wondering where they'll hold the talks. According to our Oh Soo-young, the clues so far point to Stockholm.
Sweden may once again be the meeting point for North Korean and US officials for their working-level talks set for Saturday. According to media reports, a Beijing airport employee revealed that the North's top nuclear envoy Kim Myong-gil was listed among those boarding a plane to Stockholm. Stopping over at the Chinese capital, Kim is expected to board an Air China flight on Wednesday afternoon, after departing from Pyongyang in the morning. He will reportedly travel alone, meaning that the North's first Vice Foreign Minister Choi Son-hee may not attend the working-level talks as she did earlier this year. Chean US Special Representative for North Korea Stephen Biegun held 4 days of preparatory talks in Stockholm in January to arrange a second summit between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un. She had announced on Tuesday that the North and the US would finally hold the stalled discussions over the weekend, but did not specify the location. The resumption of the working-level talks comes nearly 3 months after Trump and Kim met at the demilitarized zone that splits the two Koreas and agreed to continue working-level discussions. But since then, North Korea has been reluctant to choose a date for the talks, continuing its launches of short-range ballistic missiles. However, in recent weeks, both sides have shown willingness to return to dialogue. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
The U.S. State Department spokesperson called on the regime to refrain from provocations. According to Reuters, Morgan Ortegas pointed out the North should abide by its obligations imposed by UNSC resolutions and remain engaged in substantive and sustained negotiations to do its part to ensure peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula. While there were concerns the launch of a possible SLBM could prompt President Trump to change his mind over the upcoming bilateral talks, the department's response suggests that's not the case. That provocation comes just a day after the North announced it will hold highly anticipated working-level talks with the U.S. this weekend. Experts have cited various reasons for the launch, which include Pyongyang's attempt to gain leverage before resuming negotiations. Lee Ji-won tells us more.
Just hours after announcing its plans to hold working-level talks with the U.S., North Korea fired yet another round of missiles on Wednesday. North Korea expert Paju and Gimpo, professor at Handong Global University, says the move could be part of Pyongyang's efforts to maximize pressure on the U.S. ahead of the talks.
I think the North is betting very big on the upcoming working-level talks. Firing what are seen as submarine-launched missiles is the strongest card the North has within the boundaries. It's just below intercontinental ballistic missile and nuclear tests, which President Trump set as red lines. Thus, the move is seen as a warning to the U.S. that it had better bring new calculations about what it seeks.
North Korea had numerous times urged the U.S. to bring new calculations into the nuclear negotiations, which many experts see as meaning step-by-step denuclearization with corresponding measures including sanctions relief and a security guarantee. The Washington Post also cited a nuclear expert to say the move is seen as an attempt to raise Pyongyang's bargaining power. But it added that it is also a protest against South Korea's first ever public showcase of its F-35A stealth fighter jets at its 71st Armed Forces Day just the day before. The North is believed to see the fighter jet as one of Seoul's most threatening weapons for its accuracy and stealth technology. Though Professor Park thinks the North state-run media will blame the fighter jets for its test firing, he says the message is ultimately for the U.S.
The North is likely to slam South Korea and the F-35A fighter jet to justify its missile launch. But if it really wanted to target the South, it would have fired other short-range missiles instead. This comes as the North cannot explicitly target its words at the U.S., as it would lead to more opposition against the regime within Washington and lessen Trump's ability to reach a deal.
Now, while not much is known about the upcoming working-level talks, Seoul's Foreign Minister Kang Kyung-hwa expects a security guarantee to be discussed later this week. Speaking at the Parliament audit on Wednesday, she said the gist of the talks would be how flexible the two sides are in narrowing their differences. Lee Ji-won, Arirang News.
A trilateral meeting between General Park Han-gi and his American and Japanese counterparts, Mark Milley and Koji Yamazaki, was held in Washington on Tuesday. The session involving the chairman of the three countries' Joint Chiefs of Staff comes amid tensions over Seoul's decision to pull out of a military intel sharing pact with Tokyo. The trial focused on multilateral cooperation that ensures readiness to respond to any regional contingency and promotes long-term peace and stability in Northeast Asia. General Milley reaffirmed the ironclad commitment of the U.S. to defend South Korea and Japan if called upon, and to provide extended deterrence guaranteed by the full spectrum of America's military capabilities. 2 new cases of African swine fever were confirmed this morning in Paju and Gimpo in Gyeonggi-do Province near the inter-Korean border, bringing the total number of affected farms to 13. The case in Paju is the third case reported in the same area over a 48-hour period, following the government's confirmation of 2 outbreaks there on Wednesday. Due to difficulty in flying conditions from the effects of Typhoon Mitag, blood samples from the pigs are being transported by road instead of helicopter, which could cause delays in inspections. The ministry is also testing other suspected ASF cases reported in Gimpo. Experts from around the world are gathered in Seoul to discuss ways to promote international cooperation amid growing global uncertainties. The key message being delivered is that nations must come together to achieve economic co-prosperity. Yoon Jung-min has the highlights from that forum.
People, prosperity, and peace are among the key factors for South Korea's economic future. That was the message delivered at a seminar to support the Global Korea Forum, which was launched to promote global cooperation. Experts on finance and international cooperation from the government and the private sector gathered in Seoul on Wednesday to discuss the issue.
Based on inclusiveness, openness, and pacifism, South Korea should seek sustainable development. Korea should be a pioneer in building an inclusive, peaceful world based on these universal concepts.
Under the theme of global inclusiveness, the panel discussed sharing Korea's economic development with other countries through official development assistance. They stressed the importance of forming human networks with the rest of the international community.
What we try to do is to share information and conduct discussions and seminars and develop new ideas, and of course develop human networks among the participating organizations.
The panel also said Korea should foster cooperation with countries to Korea's north and south amid growing global uncertainties. They said countries like Russia and China possess great potential with natural resources and infrastructure, while many Southeast Asian countries have enormous human resources. As a member of the international community, South Korea aims to keep increasing its role on the global stage by promoting economic cooperation with other countries. Yoon Jung-min, Arirang News.
That's all from us. As always, thank you for watching.
What can this door be? An unexpected encounter turning into joyful communication. An unfamiliar smile turning into a warm welcome. We wait for the day we'll happily reconfirm our similarities. Knocking on the door of an era of peace and communication.